Hello everybody and welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am your host, the previously mentioned Mr. Ruby, and this is my spoiler-free review of Shin Godzilla. Now normally I only do spoiler-free reviews for movies that are in the theater, but since Shin Godzilla only had a limited theatrical release in America, a lot of people have not seen this movie yet, so it's going to be my exception to the rule. Now Toho has rebooted Godzilla many times, but with the start of each series, the 1954 classic Godzilla is always the first movie, with the exception of the two American Godzillas. But this movie is a complete retelling of Godzilla's origin, so it completely ignores the 1954 classic. In the original version of Godzilla, it was a metaphor for the bombs that dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This movie also touches on those elements, but it's also a metaphor for the tsunami and nuclear disaster that happened in 2011 in Japan, and the way the government tried to deal with it at the time. So first, let's talk about the good. Now, I did watch this movie in the English dub, but I must say the story was very compelling, the plot was solid, and the cast did a great job. And the dub, for what it was worth, was done very well. There are a lot of throwbacks to previous movies in here. You see some long shots of Godzilla as he's walking through the middle of town. In the beginning, when you see your first monster, it does look kind of goofy the way you see it back in the day. But when Godzilla emerges, his look is amazing. The new redesign is definitely something to marvel at. Now, one of the most interesting points of this movie is it really deals a lot with how the Japanese government deals with the force of nature that they have never encountered before, as well as how the rest of the world deals with this. All the major players from the US to Russia and China and many European countries and how their reaction would be actually comes off very realistic, at least as realistic as you can get in a movie about a giant radioactive fire-breathing lizard. There's a lot of character development and tension going on behind the scenes and how to deal with the crisis that's at hand. And it was very refreshing in the Godzilla movie to see that the cast was the actual stars of the movie. When it comes to action, Godzilla gives it to you. Not only do you get a lot of Godzilla, but I would go as far as to say when the first time you see Godzilla really go on a destructive rampage, it is unlike anything I've ever seen in any Godzilla movie, American or Japanese. If this wasn't spoiler free, I would show you just to blow your mind because I could watch that scene over and over again. And just from a story standpoint, the reasons that Godzilla exists and why he's there make complete sense, and it is a great retelling because it's been modernized and changed just enough that feels fresh and gives you the sense that you're watching an instant classic right before your eyes. As far as some of the negatives, there are a couple parts where the plot seems like it drags even though the overall pacing is good. And I'm not sure if it was the dub, but there is a few times where some of the lines seem a little bit funny. Also, like I pointed out earlier, they show some of the callbacks to the old style movie monsters. Some of that is done just a little too cheesy. I mean, my God, look at those eyes. There should be some sense of realism there. Fortunately, there's not too much of that. And with any movie, there's also a lot of stereotypes about different countries, but that's to be expected. At the end of the day, the good far outweighs the bad, so these are only minor things. So overall, what do I think of Shin Godzilla? If you're a Godzilla fan, you're going to love this. If you're a casual Godzilla fan, I really think you're going to like this as well. And if you've never seen Godzilla before and you're looking to just try a movie out to get into it, this is a great movie to start. Honestly, I can say this is one of the best reimaginings that I've seen in a long time. So if you want to see a good monster movie and you want some good action, I definitely would recommend that you go out and buy this. Sure, it's got some problems and a couple low spots, but overall the pacing is good enough to keep you invested. The characters are strong, the story is great, and you get much more Godzilla than you did in the American version. So I'd have to give Shin Godzilla 4.5 stars. So thank you guys for listening to the Derek Ruby Show. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook. And as always, have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. Some of that is done just a little too cheesy. I mean, my God, look at those eyes. There should be some sense of realism there.